the meeting tonight. We're going to get going. We only have 30 minutes, so apologize if I talk fast and kind of push us along. So I want to make sure everyone has a chance to be able to talk, and I will definitely try to pull that out of everyone so we hear. But we are on a tight timeline for 30 minutes because half of us have to leave to go to an economic development meeting after this. So apologize for that. So why don't we get going? Do we need to take roll on that, or are you able to see who's online?
I would recommend taking roll just for the record.
Okay, we'll do that.
Okay. So it appears Mayor Pulliam is absent, so we'll start with Councillor Smallwood. I believe is not here right now. Councillor Sheldon.
Here.
Councillor Walker.
Here.
Councillor Exner.
Here.
Councillor Hokanson.
Here.
Chief Schneider.
Here.
Executive Director Jones. Oh,
He said
I see
here.
you. Yep.
You're muted.
And Council President Pietzold.
Here. And we looks like we have Councillor Smallwood as well.
Yes.
And now I'm getting an echo of myself, so I don't know who that was. You can mute yourself. It looks like we have a quorum, so I appreciate that. And everyone's had a chance to review the staff report. All right. So this is kind of an out of a context of a normal meeting, but we'll go ahead and dive right into it. So we'll go ahead and start with the staff report. Is that Jordan or David, Jeff?
I'll take it. And to be honest, Jeremy, in the interest of time, I wasn't planning on going too much into the staff report. And again, I apologize for my lighting. I see it's kind of hard to see my face. Basically, I think there are three options we have in front of you tonight regarding this project, which you're all familiar with. We can either deny it, accept it with the original plans, or accept it with modified plans. Other than that, I just wanted to kind of open, I'm sure there are probably a couple of questions out there, so I kind of wanted to just go ahead and open it up to that.
Okay. I did ask David to take a picture of the front and kind of identify. He sent that email out. Hopefully that's helpful. It's helpful for me because I was having questions today on where it was after we chatted. So thank you, David, for identifying that. I think that's very helpful for all of us, and in the future, that would be something helpful for the group as well. So I know that there are, sorry, Kathleen, you had just emailed in literally right before that. And so I got a brief reading of that a little bit. And I know Dawn had sent an email to Jeff about some redlining aspects of things. So I'm going to start with Dawn. I saw both your hands up. And so go with you, Dawn, first.
I'd like to continue on with the staff report for a second, because the two of those options, one is the proposal, the second one is modified. Can you just, in 60 seconds, explain what the modification is? I mean, I read the words, but I didn't understand visually or what it meant.
Yeah, sure, you bet. So the modification basically would tie the roof of the structure into the roof of the restaurant and bar. So it would extend, if you're looking at it from the front like this, it would extend it back and basically just blend it into the roof for a cleaner look.
And a follow-up, why? What's the motivation?
Aesthetics mostly. It will make the utilities like the electrical a little bit easier to run, but mostly aesthetics.
Thank you.
Thank you for the questions. That's a great question I had earlier, and through some of the design, it kind of pulled that out too. Kathleen.
Hi. Let me get my questions. David, did you see my questions? I'm sorry, I sent them at kind of the last minute.
I had 2 minutes to look at them. I skimmed over them. I can answer some of those off the top of my head, actually.
Okay.
Let me pull that up real quick.
Well, the first question is, what are the costs for the architectural design that's already been completed? Is that?
I'd have to go back and look, but if memory serves, I think it was around $1,000.
Okay, so that's part of the grant, right? Because we're paying
Correct.
For that?
Correct.
So kind of we need to include, so in the future when we have these things, including that kind of expenditure already in there would be helpful just to know.
Okay.
Then the second question was, again, I think you answered it very well. Why did it go from a standalone structure to integration with existing building? Does it change the roof pitch at all of the original structure?
No,
Okay. Do we have copies of the other two bids?
we do.
Okay, great. It says it meets several standee style elements, quote unquote. Does it meet all of them, or are there some that it does not meet?
I would assume there's probably at least one it doesn't meet. I don't have all of the Sandy style elements memorized, but it does meet all of them that I can think of off the top of my head.
Okay. All right, good. How many parking spaces were eliminated with this structure?
3.
3. Great. Okay. Thank you so much for that. Is it okay for the drain and the downspouts to drain into the parking lot, as that's kind of what the bid says the plan was?
Yes, that is legal. They do have a drain in the parking lot that goes into the stormwater system. So.
Okay. All right. And then, probably my biggest comment was the $10,000 contingency fee for change orders. My experience in doing construction budgets is that the contingency budgets are usually 5 to 10% of total cost. And in this situation, probably similar, closer to 5%, because you're not like remodeling some old structure that, when you open up the walls, you're going to find all sorts of surprises. It's just a standalone, structure. So I would say that 5% is probably a more appropriate amount, which would kind of put you down to, so a couple 2,000 and some change as far as the amount of funds that you would have for contingencies. It would be like 22 to, I did the math, but anyway, yeah, it's kind of more like 5%, and it would be of the 80% of costs, because if there are contingencies or change orders needed, then of course my understanding is that the recipient would be paying 20% of those change orders, and we'd be paying the other 80%. So other than that, those are my comments, and I appreciate the staff work you did on this. It's it's much easier for me to understand what's being proposed, and seems like a cool project. The one concern I have is that if we're up to like whatever it is, over 57th, again, how many people might want this? If other people come in with things closer to 100,000, then if we've allocated 300,000, then we're talking about a handful of people getting the grant. And if there's more demand, that might be come into play. But hopefully we can kind of get a competitive process for going forward. And I thank you for all the work you've done on it. It was very helpful to have all this in front of us.
Thank you.
Right.
Just to respond to the last point that you made, it's not just for contingencies, it's for contingencies and the other ancillary items that are included in the grant program, one of which is the only one that I know of that RIA is interested in, is outdoor rated tables and chairs. And so that's why that number might be a little higher. Then that number was recommended by the Development Services Director. So if you had further questions about that, I would recommend talking to him.
All right, I don't know who had their hand up first, Phil or Carl, but we'll go with Phil. And then I know, Don, you raised your hand as well. So we'll start with Phil, and what kind of comments do you have?
Chief.
Yeah, just curious on the fire and life safety. I mean, once it goes from a standalone building, once you've integrated it into the big structure, I don't know if there's going to be breaches, or is that going to go through like Terry and our fire marshal just to,
yes, absolutely,
to review that? So, okay, yeah, that's probably good.
And Terry and the Terry and Gary have already looked at it. And now, granted, we didn't talk about a tieback back then. That was before that was proposed. But they have seen the site, and I was down there on site with them and described everything to them, and they both seem satisfied. Yeah,
no, the tieback is what can change.
Yeah.
Once you've tied it back, you've put it into another building. So if there was a fire, it would be integrated into that building.
Gotcha.
And I'm sure with the metal roofs, and it might be as simple as they may have to put some fire stop or something. So I don't think it's a deal breaker. It's just, okay. We'll want to make sure you share that with probably going through Terry and Gary to look at, so it's safe, You betcha. But, you betcha.
All right. Thanks, Chief Snyder. Carl, you're up next.
Grab the unmute thing here and get rid of that.
You're getting better at unmute, Carl.
Yeah, well, there are times. So tonight is just about for the first bid and or for the additional bid and or none at all, I suppose. And just for the RIAs, right? There's others coming,
Correct.
but we don't know, and we don't have any other issues that we can talk about tonight. Is that correct? So
That's correct. This is just for this one project.
so the issue about other bids and that other, not bids, but other restaurants coming in and so on will have to be decided at a different meeting.
Correct.
So I want to make sure Chief Snyder was talking about the need for the fire safety thing being okay. Are we okay with the other pieces that would need to be approved on this one? So I'm sure that we're talking about electrical. There's no plumbing, I suppose, but anyway,
No, no
the other issues that would probably come up, all those are passed and we don't have any modifications that will happen after this. Is that right?
Correct. The only modification that I can think of that might take place, like I said, it might be a little bit easier to run the electrical through that if we tied it back to the roof of the restaurant. At least that's what the contractor told me. But yeah, that is absolutely something that we would run through Terry.
Okay, all right. But there wouldn't be any more dollars associated with this?
Not that I mean, I could, like the chief said, if there was, to make sure that it's properly fire rated and everything, I could see maybe we might have a small change order there. But other than that, no. If anything, I think the electrical, it's possible the electrical could come in a little cheaper.
Okay.
Thank you, Carl. Thank you, Carl. And Don, you had a comment?
Thanks, Jeremy. Yeah, two questions. I wanted to know, when you have an OLCC permit and you make an extension or a modification to your building layout, it used to be that required them to re-review and approve that layout in order that you could serve there. Do you know if that's still required and if that has been done?
Part of that question would probably be better answered by our city attorney. But I can tell you that it is, at least right now, it is not the intention of the building owner to serve alcohol in that area. This outdoor covered structure would be for the restaurant, not for the bar, exclusively.
But no beer or drinks at dinner, because that requires your OLCC permit.
To be honest, I don't know if they sell alcohol on the restaurant side at dinner time or not. Do they?
I think every restaurant will kind of have to do that.
Okay.
Yes, they do.
Well, then that would be between the restaurant owner and the OLCC. As far as I know.
So I'd just like to comment on this, that if we approve tonight, we approve it contingent on OLCC validation. I don't want to get to a situation where we create a structure that isn't usable for their intended purpose.
And I can speak to that a little bit too. Jeff and I talked beforehand. I think you, Councilor Hoganson, and Jeff might have had a conversation. Jeff was kind enough to kind of just fill me in a little bit. And the thing I would say about that is you're absolutely right. I mean, there may be OLCC licensure issues, review that the state may go through. There, for all I know, could be other, maybe the county, right? With respect to food and health and safety issues. This stuff tends to come up sometimes, maybe most often in traditional kind of land use context, where you have things that the city approves that are under its jurisdiction, and then a number of other permits that may be under the state's jurisdiction. In all of those cases, legally speaking, the city does its thing, and it's legally understood, and that's the reality, that there are other permits that development or this business might have to get, and nothing we would do would guarantee anything. One thing I said to Jeff, and we certainly could do this just to, I guess maybe as sort of like an extra, just being very transparent about it. If the board council would like to do that, we're going to have an agreement that runs with all of these grants, and we could just have some language in there that says, by approving this, we're approving the part that we have jurisdiction over. If you have to get permits from other agencies, that's going to be, as David said, between you and that agency, and it's not guaranteeing that you'd ultimately be able to use it.
Thank you, David. I actually like that response at the end because I, kind of not want to get in the way of that, and that's a state thing.
Yeah,
but,
and
it's a great answer, I think.
just to be clear, it doesn't change anything. I mean, the law is what the law is. I think it's more a matter of messaging and just making sure that people realize, for their own benefit, that simply because the city of Sandy is going to approve the structure and the things that it has jurisdiction over doesn't mean that OLCC or somebody else might say, hey, no, you can't do this.
Rich, you had your hand up, but then it looks like you took it down. But I'm going to call on you anyways because I want to hear perspectives from everyone.
So my question is, there's the or, right? There's option A or option B, and I'm assuming there wouldn't be an option B if that's not their preference, correct? The more expensive one.
Correct. Yeah, the design option was the idea of the building owner.
I guess what is the connected is just for aesthetics. So the increased price, we would be doing that strictly for aesthetics and a little bit of cost savings on the electrical. Did I understand that correct?
That is correct, yes.
Okay. So there's no structural reason or anything like that?
No, it would just provide a cleaner look, that's all.
Okay. And then this may be outlined elsewhere. These contingencies that are budgeted in there, as Kathleen kind of already talked about, I'm assuming there's a cost sharing that goes if it's over that that the contingencies are shared with them as well. Is that correct?
Correct.
And if they're not used, they come back to the city? To the
Oh, yeah, no, well, we would, yes, that's correct.
Okay. All right. Okay, cool. Those were all my questions. Thank you.
Chief, you have a comment. I do want to make sure I hit Chris and Lori too. So I'll go with you first. Okay, I'll go. All right. Well, I'm going to go to Lori because she works with you now.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Go to me last because I'm ready to make a motion. So.
Oh, okay. Okay. Chris, I want to make sure I hear from you.
Sorry, trying to find that mute button too. I really, at this point, don't have anything really to comment on other than, they have had the little outdoor structure or fence put up for outdoor seating, in place of those parking place spots, those few that it would take up, haven't been available since last, I think it was spring, maybe summer, she put those up. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. So, for me, it's kind of, we haven't been using those. So I don't, just my personal opinion on that. But that's about all. I'm with Lori. I'm ready to make a motion too.
Okay, great.
In talking with Rhea, she sees much more value in this structure than she does in those 3 parking spots. So.
Okay. And I know Kathleen, you have your hand up, and I can't tell if Carl has his hand up or if it's just, sore and he's holding it up. I'm going with the sore part. I'll make a comment, and that is, I appreciate that picture. Again, I said that earlier because it helped with kind of identifying as looking at the plans as well and seeing the tie back and then understanding the tie back better. I actually do like the tie back. I know it's aesthetic, but it also, I think, has some functionality in rain and those type of things and some cover area as it goes. And I think it fits better with the building than versus having a standalone. I think it will have cost savings in the wiring and some things that could be done without having to drape it across. So I would be for the tie-back structure on that. I know it costs a little bit more, but I think we get a better look and a better sandy aspect to that part of it. I do like the fact that the roof looks like it has been replaced recently with a metal roof. And so with it being tied back in, those are other sandy style aspects of that.
The roof has been replaced within the last 2 years.
So that piece of it. So those are my comments. I appreciate that and look forward to voting for it. I'm going to go to because Phil had his hand up prior, and then I'll go to Kathleen. So Phil, and then Kathleen, and then we'll go to Lori.
Yeah, just 2 real quick. One for Tyler. Just curious on the funds. If the funds get put out 100%, can you, as they pay back, can you reallocate those funds this year to let other parties use that money? Because like our budget laws, I was thinking once you allocate it, it can't be used in the same year unless it's dedicated for that. There's probably a resolution or something you can do. But I was just curious. So if we had 3 at a 300,000, would that wipe it all out? And even though they pay it back, some of it back, 20% back.
Well, if David wants to chime in with any legal components of that question, I'll let him do so. But the way that we would, record that from a financial standpoint would be the full expenditure. And then the payback that we got would be, recorded as reimbursement revenue. So we would expend the full amount of the funds more quickly, paying 100% of the project up front and then getting reimbursed.
Okay, that's what I thought. That's what I usually have to do. And so I didn't know if there was something different. So it could, again, bigger projects could take quite a bit of it early. And my other one is, it's my fault, the open structure, is it deemed to close up though? Like, so for COVID in the winter, they're not gonna obviously have an open structure because like now they all have tents. So is there siding that can be hung on that so they can keep it warm and actually use it through the winter and then take them off in the summer and have the open, area, or what? Just
yes,
curious.
there are a number of products out there because of COVID. There have been all kinds of products that have sprung up out there. I mean, it's a massive amount of them. The best one I've seen so far is basically looks like a giant clear vinyl shower curtain window that goes around the whole thing. It's basically just a curtain with weights on the bottom, but looks phenomenal. And Kelly has talked to somebody who's used one of them and says they're great. But there's easily, dozens of products out there that we could look to do something like that.
Yeah, I just didn't know if they had that in there. I might have missed it.
No, they don't.
They don't. So that's kind of on their own to do that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or maybe if there's funding left over by the time we're done building all these projects or all these structures, and if we have money left and there's nobody else interested, maybe we could look at doing, the smaller things like that as well.
Okay, cool, thanks.
All right, one comment, I'll go to Kathleen, is we only have about another 5 months left in this budget cycle. So just to keep that in mind as well, as I think, I'm not gonna say it's difficult to spend money, it's quite easy actually, but it's the likelihood is gonna be very unlikely, but I don't want to predict anything. Kathleen, you had something, and then I want to go to Lori.
And I'm also mindful of the time that we have left. Is this being built on their pavement, or is there a concrete pad being poured? I couldn't tell.
No, it's blacktop floor.
Okay. And I don't know what the elevation or shape or whatever of that is, but is this going to be ADA compliant?
I don't see how it wouldn't be really. It's got, I think it's ADA accessible.
Okay.
I'd have to check, but
that
yes.
needs to be part of the deal because we can't be using public funds if it's not.
Yeah.
And so that needs to be part of the agreement. And then the second thing is even the, if they're putting picnic tables or anything in there, it is important that the furniture, if we're paying for it, is ADA. And there's some great, wood ADA picnic tables that I can give you sources for and stuff from my time in the Forest Service. But anyways, any kind of furniture and stuff just needs to be ADA there. The last question I had is that, it's not specific to this project, but, we've got this thing where we're going to ask them to pay in 30 days or pay on an installment plan. And I'm assuming, of course, RIA's is obviously going to probably pay. But what is, if we had a recipient here that didn't pay us back and reimburse us, what's our fallback method for recouping those dollars? And that's my last question.
The contract that I will have to sign prior to the start of construction will have a lien for that price on
okay.
it. So.
All right, thank you.
Right.
Ready for a vote.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. So thank you very much. Maybe this is your first experience for me running a meeting, but I don't like to be rushed, but I'm trying to be respectful of the time of you guys and our other meeting coming up after this. So I feel everyone is has spoke, and I'm going to get thumbs up, no other comments on that. So I will look for a motion on the floor. It looks like Lori's raising her hand to make a motion.
Yep. everybody's got their questions answered, right? I just don't want to move before everybody's got, okay. So I'd like to make a motion that we award RIAs the grant that they're asking for, and I believe it's Project B, right?
With the tieback or without the tieback?
With the tieback.
Mhm.
Yep.
It's the 56,420.
Yeah, 56,420. I don't have it in front of me. Thanks, Carl. So there's my motion.
Okay, do I have a second of that motion, or would someone like to say anything else? Okay, I have a second with Carl. All those in favor signify by a thumbs up or saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, thumbs down or nay. Hearing none, it passes unanimously. I appreciate you guys' time. I thank you for your concise points of view, and we'll work on it being different
Looks like
next
you have a
time.
question from Don.
Yeah, Don.
Jeremy, hey, last meeting we left, we changed the program guidelines and we left section 8 in a kind of messed up state. If we can take 1 minute to look at it and potentially make another motion to fix 8 to match the other changes, that would be awesome if you give me a minute.
Yeah, we have 2 minutes.
I'll share
or
if
4
that's
minutes.
okay.
Yeah. Jeff,
I think he's prepared, Jeremy. Yeah.
Okay. Go ahead.
Okay, hopefully you're seeing my screen now.
Mm-hmm.
And in section 8, can you still hear me okay?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, so section 8, I'd like to make a motion to change section 8 to reflect the changes as noted here, to remove the confusion we had with the grant review board, because we removed other sections, but we didn't update this one. So the new section would say grant applications are administratively reviewed by the Development Services Director for compliance with the guidelines and review criteria set forth for this program. And B, grant applications shall be reviewed and approved by the Sandy Urban Renewal Board.
All right. Only question I have on that is, should it be the Development Services Director for the grant applications, or should it be the Economic Development Coordinator with the Urban Renewal being the one that reviews the grant application?
My thoughts are it should be probably Kelly, but just because, you know, he has obviously way more planning knowledge than I do.
So that would be my.
It also doesn't mean that Kelly can't seek, David's review and advice, which probably practically happens anyway.
Yes,
okay.
100% of the time.
All right. Thank you, Don. Is there any comments on this edit to the section 8?
Yeah, I got a quick question.
Yeah, go ahead.
So Don, are you wanting to amend this permanently? I realize that this grant has got a short window, but are you looking to amend this permanently, or are we just looking to amend it for the time being and then potentially look at doing it differently down the road?
Last week, we changed 2 sections permanently moving forward, and we left this one in an awkward state. Mm-hmm. So our intention, I thought, was to kind of change that whole review process, and this kind of puts it all in harmony with this board reviewing it until we choose to change it.
Okay.
David, do you mind? I will fill you in on anything if you hop out of this one and go to the other one.
I think I need to jump out.
Yep, and stall for us on that one. I'll be in there shortly.
Sure, no problem.
Carl, you have a comment.
Yeah, I'm just, I think anytime we have something like this could be easily changed later on, just as we do here. But I think unless it was changed, I think it'd be very, not only awkward, but not correct to not have that in. So we should probably go ahead and go forward with it. And I would be able to do a second.
Okay. Do any other comments? Anybody? Okay, I'm not going to go around the room on this. No comments. Do I have a motion to make that change?
No, that was my motion.
That was your motion.
To make that change.
I apologize. Yes. I have a motion by Councilor Hokanson and a second by.
I think Councilor Exner.
Councilor Exner.
I'm sorry, I missed that after that with Councilor Exner. All those in favor say by saying aye or thumbs up. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thumbs down. Hearing none, it is good. Any other comments?
Thank you.
Okay. Again, thank you for the short notice and getting in here. Sorry for the speed rush meeting and throwing us all through, but I appreciate your time.
You did a great job,
Jeremy.
Jeremy.
Have a good night.
Thank you all.
Jeremy.
Guys, have a good night.